All right, y'all, what's going on? It's Combo Breaker 99 back with another quick post-fight discussion video. All right, y'all, I want to go ahead and get this one out. I want to go ahead and get my thoughts on this one while I'm fresh off of the fight. Tszyu versus Brian Mendoza. All right, y'all, so Tszyu, he goes in here and makes easy work of Brian Mendoza. And not only knockout, but, easy work as far as just dominating Brian Mendoza. As soon as Tszyu gets into his groove and he sees that Brian Mendoza doesn't really have much to offer, he just pretty much takes over in the second half of this fight, right? And that's the one thing I was saying going into this fight, pretty much like I say in a lot of boxing matches when you're dealing with like a boxer puncher, like a young guy with heavy hands. If you can't take their pop, or if you can't take away their pop, or if you don't have the pop yourself, then it's going to be a long night. Now, I will say Brian Mendoza, he could take the pop of Tszyu in this fight. He could take the pop, he had the chin, but he couldn't take away the power of Tszyu. And he couldn't deliver power on Tszyu. So if you don't have those two other things, along with the chin, then it's going to be a long night, all right? And that's where Brian Mendoza, he suffered in this fight, and he just got dominated in the second half. Because the first half of the fight, I will give to Brian Mendoza. I agree with Stephen Farhood's card as far as what he had up to round 6. He had it tied, or I could even see it 4-2. For Brian Mendoza. I know people disagree, especially the Tszyu fans, but hey, I thought the first half of the fight could have went to Brian Mendoza just because he was staying busier. Like, he wasn't doing anything major that made me say, okay, like Tszyu's falling behind here, or like Tszyu is, getting outboxed clean. Like, Brian Mendoza wasn't really like cleanly outboxing him. He was just outlanding and outworking him. He was just a more active fighter in the first half of the fight. Okay. He was just landing more shots at the time, just because Tszyu wasn't really landing anything. He wasn't really throwing anything yet. He just wanted to see what Mendoza had to offer. And then when he saw there wasn't much to offer, I'd say like in round 5, that's where he started letting that left hook go, and even that 1-2. And then you could see like the reaction on Mendoza's face. So when Tszyu saw that, that's when he said, okay, I can catch up to him. He's not really bringing much as far as power or even like a solid jab. I can get through this, right? So up to I'd say about round 6, one of those rounds was like really close. I'd say 5 or 6. That's where Tszyu started to turn it up. And then from round 7 on, he just kept stepping it up each time. He'd start connecting with a couple doubles or triples, and then he would just start marching Brian Mendoza down, landing the more cleaner shots here. Even sticking in some hard body shots to slow Mendoza down. Like I said, though, Mendoza, he was landing a good left hook early in the fight, and even like a good right hand in the first couple of rounds, because it looked like he was starting to mark Tszyu's left side up just a little bit because he was staying busier, and looked like he was trying to step out at an angle and pop Tszyu with that left hook here and there, and just sticking his jab up through the guard. But Tszyu was deflecting a lot of shots too. He was deflecting a lot of those shots that he was just punching straight up the middle. He saw most of that coming, and he just kept staying in the face of Mendoza, and then coming back with that hard left hook of his own, then that 1-2. And like I said, for guys like Mendoza, when you're fighting a puncher like this, you got to smother the power. You got to take away the power, but you got to really sit on your shots. And I think that Mendoza, even though he has a good chin, he could take the power, he was still kind of too respectful of Tszyu's power. That's why he wasn't really fully sitting down on his shots. He wanted to land a couple shots and get out the way. But at the same time, I think Mendoza was stepping right into the power zone too. Like, there was a lot of times, the left hand was down, he was stepping to the left, so Tszyu was lining that right hand right up. He was doing a lot of upper body movement, but he wasn't moving his feet out the way. He wasn't stepping out of range, so Tszyu pretty much said, okay, by round 7, he knew he had that. And from there, like I said, he just started turning it up and landing those consecutive 1-2s and just busting Mendoza up at that point. And that left hook around the guard just started putting the developing the mouse in the Mendoza's eye at that point. And I said, oh man, like, yeah, he might get stopped pretty soon here, because like I said, Mendoza hasn't been past round 8 before, and going into deep waters like this, he might not be able to survive. But man, this guy got a chin, man. I mean, this guy has a chin. He took some heavy shots from Tszyu, and going into round 10, I mean, I don't know what was keeping him up at that point, because that's where Tszyu just started letting go. Like, that point, he was just beating him from pillar to post. He was stepping side to side trying to get out, but Tszyu was in his face, launching them right hands on him and just busting him up. Now, I will give Mendoza some credit. Like, he would try to fight back. He ate some hard shots, but he would try to slip a couple up the middle. He slipped a hard little body shot up the middle, man, that caught Tszyu. Now, it looked like it kind of strayed a little low, but that reaction to Tszyu looked like he got hurt to the stomach a little bit. I don't know, man. Like, on the replay, it did kind of hit the belt line, so maybe the pain just kind of traveled from the stomach to the groin a little, but I thought it hit on the stomach. He kind of hurt him a little, but when he had that reaction trying to, get to the, let the referee know he got hit low, the ref said keep going. So the ref, he was at a better angle. He must have said, oh, that wasn't low. So at that point, Mendoza could have jumped on him, but he didn't. So Mendoza stepped right back out, and Tszyu jumped right back on him and just started letting the hands go again and, finished the round strong. Then going in around 11 and 12, just more pummeling. He just kept turning it up on him and just kept beating him up. So I give Brian Mendoza a lot of credit. He was in there letting punches go. Like, he would touch Tszyu, but, like, even in that second half, there was a couple of good shots he would land, like a left hook here and there, but there was really nothing that knocked Tszyu off of his momentum or got him off of his momentum that made him respect him at that point. Like, he was landing a few punches here and there in the second half, but nothing to get that respect at that point. He wasn't taking anything away from Tszyu at that point. So I had it, of course, a unanimous decision, but I had it probably 8 rounds to 4, 9 rounds to 3, because like I said, I think that the first half of the fight, it was just a more active Mendoza, landing more punches until Tszyu started to turn it up, and that was when he couldn't get any respect from that power. Every shot, every single or double that Tszyu landed, he just went into respect mode at that point, So a lot of credit to Mendoza. He was just in there, but I can't really say he was he was fighting him off, or holding his own in this fight. He was just there. He was just there at that point, trying to land a few punches to stay in the fight, but he wasn't really dishing anything back out. He just had the chin. He didn't have power, and he couldn't take away the power in this type of fight. We've seen this time and time again, with some guys where they got the heart and the chin, but when they don't have their own power, they just have to kind of go into respect mode against these heavy-handed guys, So from here, man, Tszyu, he calls out Jermell Charlo. He said he's the king of the division now. He wants to make that fight. Where you at, Jermell? And in my opinion, I still think Jermell Charlo is a few levels above Tszyu, and I still think Jermell wins that fight. I know people are going to argue me on that, especially the Tszyu fans, but I still think Jermell Charlo is the man at 154. Now, the Canelo fight, that was a different story, which I'm going to do another video on. That was a disappointing performance from Jermell, of course, but back home at 154, that's his division. I will say Tszyu has looked better than he has in a couple of his past fights, and he definitely has stepped it up from his last couple of fights. I definitely can tell that the training camps and in this performance that Tszyu is a little bit more patient now. He's a little bit more patient. It's not swinging too wild. He's picking his shots. His defense is a little bit better, as far as like when he's walking guys down, as far as deflecting a lot of punches, he's not getting hit too clean. But again, that's against the level he's fighting right now. But the patience thing, he might be a little too patient, though, because the first half of the fight, I think, he was letting Mendoza build a lead there. I mean, maybe he figured that he can always catch up to him with the power, but that's not something that you always want to get in the habit of. Just because you got the power and you can catch up to a guy, certain guys, it doesn't mean you'll be able to do that all the time, So that might be a thing, for Tszyu, to get a faster start, fight behind the jab early. It's like, they said in the past about Tszyu, he don't fire the jab off enough, so he needs to start building that lead early, and the knockouts will come earlier, but maybe he just wanted to get some rounds in this fight. I don't know, but yeah, that won't always work with some of these guys as you step it up, though. But yeah, that's the fight to make now. I mean, Tszyu put himself in that position now. Jermell was stripped of the belt. The WBO, know they wanted that fight. That's why they were so quick to strip him of that belt, because they said, I know the only way we're going to get Charlo to fight Tszyu is if we take that other belt away and we give it to him. And if he wants undisputed back, Charlo going to have to fight Tszyu. So, yeah, that's the fight to make right now. Tszyu, Terrence Crawford, I don't know. Tszyu and Charlo, that fight needs to happen. Then the winner of that fight, they can fight Terrence Crawford if he decides to move up, or if after, Charlo and Spence handle, Crawford and Spence handle their rematch, or however that goes. But right now, Charlo and Tszyu is the fight to make, guys. But yeah, shout out to Brian Mendoza. I mean, the guy's got heart, but he's gonna have to do a little bit more than that, man. to make it and to make a statement against these type of punchers like that. That's for any boxer out there, though. Any type of boxer, you know, you're facing a puncher, you got to be able to dish out your own pop and do more than just take the pop. You got to take away their pop, okay? So, yeah, guys, let me know in the comment section what y'all think. Y'all ready to see this Charlo Tszyu fight? And who do you got, guys? Make sure y'all subscribe, All Boxing Everything. I'm out. Peace.